We're staying in the xrefs.dwg file, and you'll remember in the previous video, I actually physically deleted my Xref file, the propertyline.dwg file. Now, if I go up to the Insert tab on the ribbon, go into the Reference panel now, and select Attach, you'll see that it takes me to that folder where the xrefs.dwg file is, and the propertyline.dwg file is. I'm going to select propertyline as the Xref, the drawing that I want to bring in as my external reference. So I select propertyline and click on Open. Now, as soon as I do that, it's prompting me to attach the propertyline.dwg file. I can still browse for a separate DWG if I want to. I'm not going to. Now, the bit that I want to explain here is reference type, attachment and overlay, because it can confuse a newer user. If you use a reference of an attachment type like so and hit the attachment button, it means that that Xref will always display, regardless of whether you've Xref'd an Xref and then Xref'd another Xref into an Xref, if you get my meaning. So kind of what's happening here is that will always appear. It's a permanent setting. If you set it to overlay, what will happen is if I Xref a file into a host drawing, and then let's say I Xref the host drawing with the attached Xref into another drawing, that Xref that's been attached initially will not display. Now, it sounds very wordy, but the best way to do it is to test it. So when you have a moment, what you'll do is set this to overlay and then Xref in your xrefs.dwg file with the propertyline.dwg file attached, and then Xref that into another drawing, and you'll notice that the property line Xref isn't there. That's what overlays are for, basically, to hide lots of different Xrefs that might be attached. It sounds very wordy, and I don't want to confuse you too much because we're just going to use the attachment reference type for this video. But check that out. There's some great help in the AutoCAD help about reference types as well. So if you just click on your help icon and put in external references as the search sort of criteria, it'll tell you all about attachment and overlay as well, and probably explain it a lot better than I do. So we've got scale. I'm going to leave that at a uniform scale of 1 with X set to 1, because think about it. I'm bringing in a reference file into my host drawing, my xrefs.dwg file. So ideally, my Xref and my host drawing should be using the same units. So the scale should always be 1. If it isn't, obviously, make sure that you're working to the appropriate scale that you need to be working to. Might be a project standard, might be a company standard where that is different. Insertion point, I'm going to use 0, 0, 0 for X, Y, and Z. You don't need to worry about Z. That's the 3D coordinate setting, which we don't need because we're not using that at the moment. We're in a flat 2D drawing. So that is null and void, but X and Y must be set to 0. Really important. And in this case, Z will also be set to 0 because we're in a flat 2D drawing. Again, though, I'm not specifying that on screen. I don't need to. So don't tick these specify on screen boxes. Path type relative, because my propertyline.dwg file is in the same folder as the xrefs.dwg file. Rotation, angle 0. We don't want to rotate it. However, if you needed to rotate an Xref when you're bringing it into the host drawing, you can. And as you can see, block unit millimeters, factor 1. So that's relating back to your scale here. So it sees that the drawing that we're bringing in is also in millimeters with a factor of 1. Now, I'm going to click on OK and just watch what happens. There's our property line. So that's this drawing here, the property line drawing, brought into our xrefs.dwg file as an external reference file. And when I select it, you can see, like I showed you earlier, there you go, it's an external reference. AutoCAD knows that, brings up the external reference tab on the ribbon, and I can start working with my external reference file, but it's in my host drawing, the xrefs.dwg file. I'll just hit escape to deselect it so that we go back to our regular ribbon in AutoCAD. What we're going to have a look at in the next few videos is how we can manipulate and work with these external reference files, our Xrefs in AutoCAD.